We asked and you delivered. Our CBS 4 viewers flooding the pics at CBSMiami.com inbox with great digital images from today's Heat Parade. A great day to be a Heat fan. Definitely thumbs up as Miami said thank you with ticker tape raining down on LeBron James and Chris Andersen spreading his arms, giving the crowd a good look at all those tattoos. And Chris Bosh holding the trophy that made the Magic City so proud. Todd Mosier sent in these photos of the Birdman, Battier, King James, and the rest of the Heat in ticker tape. LeBron was on Instagram with a fast video.
It's about to go down.
Michelle Cruz sent in this one of Dwayne Wade rounding the Biscayne curve in front of Met One Tower holding a CBS 4 microphone. Tanya Yanis sent us these from the Biscayne Bend and the crowds on Biscayne watching the champs pass by. Heat owner Mickey Arison tweeted this shot of a sea of Heat fans. Wow, felt like a million, wrote Arison. Heat fans, you're the best. Arison also tweeted this shot. Reporter Ted Scouten sent us this view from the streets of the AAA, looking down onto Biscayne Boulevard and into the crowd. And Giovanna Maselli sent us this picture of Heat fans who'd climbed the railroad crossing by the Port of Miami to get a great view. There were fans jammed behind the barricades by the Freedom Tower, ticker tape falling from the sky over those big red buses, buses rolling down Biscayne Boulevard with the greatest players in the NBA feeling like they were on top of the world. Keep those shots coming to our inbox. The address is pics@cbsmiami.com. I'll be back in a few minutes with a look at the LeBron cam and some watch your head moments from the parade. I'm Brian Andrews, CBS 4 News.
CBS 4's Brian Andrews has been monitoring the latest out of the courtroom in Sanford. Brian?
The court hearing from the officers who were first on the scene the night Trayvon Martin died. Those who put a handcuffed George Zimmerman into a waiting patrol car, and those who tried to give CPR to the teenager who didn't have a pulse. Crime scene technician Diane Smith holds an evidence bag with the can of Arizona iced tea and other evidence.
Package of Skittles.
Yes, it is.
And the headphones.
The jury also got to see the gun that was fired and the injuries from the scuffle to the back, front, and side of George Zimmerman's head. Jurors saw the crime scene and some more graphic photos.
Stage 28, do you recognize that?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what is that?
It's a gunshot wound, sir.
They also heard from the first officers on the scene who saw Trayvon Martin lying face down in the grass.
Did you see any movement from Trayvon Martin's body as you approached him?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you hear any sounds coming from Trayvon Martin when you approached him?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you attempt to see if Trayvon Martin was still alive?
Yes, sir.
How did you do that?
I attempted to get his pulse, sir.
The sergeant recalled trying to give CPR to save Trayvon's life.
Did you hear anything when you were performing CPR on Trayvon Martin?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
Bubbling sound, sir.
And what did those bubbling sounds indicate to you?
It meant that either air was getting into or escaping from the chest in a manner that it was not supposed to.
The sergeant then testified he used a plastic grocery bag to try to seal the exit wound. Earlier, the state called a member of the Sanford PD who trained members of a neighborhood watch program that Zimmerman had attended.
And what do you tell neighborhood watch participants about confronting someone they might be involved in criminal behavior?
Not to confront, to let us do the job.
We switch now to live pictures from Sanford, where testimony continues at this hour. A neighbor is testifying. Earlier, she told jurors that she heard shouts of no during the fight the night that Trayvon died. The state is asking for 911 tapes to be admitted into evidence that would show Zimmerman called the police about 50 times in the 8 years before Trayvon was killed, targeting people he did not want in his neighborhood. The judge has yet to rule on that. I'm Brian Andrews, CBS 4 News.
Tonight, CBS 4 News brings you team coverage of this historic day for same-sex marriage. We have reaction from around the country and how it affects Florida.
And now at 6, we begin with CBS 4's Brian Andrews, right here live in the CBS 4 studios. Brian.
Today's orders by the U.S. Supreme Court mean federal tax benefits and protections for gay couples in states that recognize gay marriage. And it instructs the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in California to lift its stay and allow same-sex marriages to resume there. But it could be weeks before wedding bells are ringing, as we're looking at another 25 days before the Supreme Court's rulings are finalized. high fives as people lined up to get into the Supreme Court awaiting the justices' opinions. And then cheers for some of the plaintiffs in the high court case to strike down the Defense of Marriage Act and California's Proposition 8. Cheers that could be heard from Washington all the way to San Francisco City Hall.
We're not motivated by this cause of equality. We're inspired by it because it's a fundamental principle that defines the best of who we are.
Today, the Supreme Court agreed, and justice was done for thousands of LGBT families nationwide.
Republicans said the high court got it wrong.
They attacked something that they have no jurisdiction over whatsoever, the foundational unit of our society, which is marriage. That is something that God created.
This is a dangerous precedent which strips power away from Congress with respect to defining national marriage policy.
The woman who brought the high court case against DOMA, Edie Windsor, says she cried when she heard the ruling.
Children born today will grow up in a world without DOMA. And those same children who happen to be gay will be free to love and get married, as Thea and I did, but with the same federal benefits, protections, and dignity as everyone else.
The High Court's second decision was a technical legal ruling that said nothing about same-sex marriage, but left in place a lower court's declaration on California's Prop 8 that it's unconstitutional, which will most likely allow same-sex weddings to resume in California.
And we're going to be equal. Now we will be married, and we will be equal to every other family in California.
It's the day I finally get to look at the man that I love and finally say, will you please marry me?
By the way, President Barack Obama called the Proposition 8 plaintiffs from Air Force One, telling them that we're very proud of you guys and you're helping a lot of people everywhere. And before that call ended, plaintiff Paul Katami told the president that he was invited to their wedding. In the studio, I'm Brian Andrews, CBS 4 News.
CBS 4's Brian Andrews joins us now from North Miami Beach, where the child was found unresponsive. Brian, what did you find out tonight?
Well, we've been going through all these documents from DCF, and it would appear that there's some sort of disconnect because back in February, DCF workers ruled that the child was safe as he was staying up with a friend of the mother in Gainesville. Mom had apparently handed the kid off to her and said, I can't take care of him. Can you handle it? But then that woman ends up calling DCF and saying, look, this kid needs medical attention and Mom won't give me permission. The disconnect apparently happened between February and this month when she decided to bring her son back to this North Miami Beach house, where he passed away on Thursday from apparent child neglect and abuse.
You're charged with child neglect.
The question everyone's asking, did DCF goof again? Did the agency make a mistake with this mother? Did they fail to follow up to know Mom was dating this man, Claude Alexis, seen wearing a suicide vest during his court appearance to prevent him from hurting himself? A man with a criminal past, now accused of killing his girlfriend's 2-year-old son Ezra by beating him to death. DCF's most recent overall safety assessment for Ezra found the risk is high to the child, but ultimately determined that Ezra was safe because at the time of the report in February, the boy was living upstate with a non-family caregiver. And that was a good thing, considering police and state investigators knew Ezra's mother, Sierra Raphael, was working the streets. The North Miami Beach police report quotes witnesses who say Raphael is a prostitute and would leave the child at home while she left to solicit sex. Police say she was out Thursday night, leaving her child with her boyfriend at the home they shared with his mother. Florida child advocate Howard Tallenfeld says DCF has made another bad call.
Too many kids dying. There have been 3 in South Florida in the last 6 weeks. These are cases where there are huge red flags.
Deborah Elder was Sierra's DCF-assigned foster parent.
Sierra's mama died when she was young. HRS took Sierra and put her in the foster home. And
that's how she ended up with you.
At the age, I think, 17. She was pregnant when she came to me.
Elder says she asked Sierra to leave Ezra in Gainesville with her friend, that the child was doing fine there.
But she wanted him home for some reason, I don't know.
She abandons her child in North Florida. The child can't get medical care. That's a screaming red flag.
Now, DCF in Tallahassee sent us an email tonight. They say they are standing by their most recent assessment of this child from back in February, that he was safe and said they are implementing new investigative processes to improve the way they take action in cases like these. Live in North Miami Beach, I'm Brian Andrews, CBS 4 News Tonight.
It's the LeBron cam, and it captured his vantage point during his travels along the parade route today.
CBS 4's Brian Andrews has a look at some of the surprises King James got along the way.
Screaming fans and clouds of confetti. It was father and son in matching hats. Dad with a cigar, son with a super soaker. For a second year, a second parade. A trip complete with tight squeezes under overpasses. Not just one, but two of them.
You got one more. Hey, you got another one coming.
The 6'8" superstar ducking low, but still riding high. As the players made their way up the parade route, LeBron firing off a super soaker.
All the fans that we're seeing here is who support us throughout the whole season, man, and this is the least we could do is ride through the city and show our appreciation.
LeBron says he's seen photos and videos of the big Game 7 win, but it just hasn't hit him yet.
I'm honored, and I've watched so many NBA Finals throughout my years growing up as a kid, wanting to be a part of those moments, and to go down as one of the greatest finals ever and to be a part of it is unbelievable.
King James calling this parade, the fans, and the Magic City the ultimate.
I'm extremely blessed, man. It don't get no better than this.
What a day. LeBron James not just on top of the bus, on top of the world. In the studio, I'm Brian Andrews, CBS 4 News.